What's going on, Facebook family? Today, we got to talk about some serious things again. This is just a follow-up from my last video when I talked about the situation there in Charleston. I saw that there was a lot of responses. So I just wanted to follow up with, well, let me just say this. A lot of people ask me about my religious beliefs and things like that. So I figured I owe it to you to kind of go through with you what I went through the last, 10 years or so throughout my spiritual journey, and I'm still on it. And just share that with you, and however you feel about it, how you feel about it, what you think about it, what you think about it. And then we'll go from there. So first of all, let me just say this. I am not an atheist, okay? I'm not an atheist. I do believe in spirituality, but that's a whole different issue. I was raised Church of God by faith. My father's a pastor. And that is what I went based off of for most of my life. And that's what I believed, that the Bible is the Word of God, things like that. And so I was where a lot of you are right now with religion. So what happened and what made me express the views that I expressed in the last video? Okay, so let me start from, and this may be a longer video, but just follow me with this. I'm going to try the best that I possibly can. Now, why is it so important for me to be on a spiritual path? That's what I'm going to answer first, and going throughout my spirituality. First, let me say this. A lot of people, they don't go on a real spiritual journey. They go on a journey to validate the truth that has already been given to them. So it comes a point in everybody's life, or for most people, for most thinking people, where you begin to question your own belief system, the belief system that was given to you. You begin to question this belief system, and then you have questions. Now, the thing about questions are, you have two different types of people, two different types of journeys. You got the person who's seeking truth and the person who's seeking validation. It's more than likely that you're going to be seeking validation, disguised as seeking truth. What does that mean? That means, this is called confirmation bias, or narrative bias. What that means is that you already have something in mind. You already have a truth or a belief in mind. And in order to reconcile for it, you have to find something that validates that belief so that you can hold on to it. That is what most of us do. I'm going to give you an example of this a little bit later on. That means that you have a belief. You're questioning that belief. You know that you can go on Google right now. You can look for an answer. You can find an answer that contradicts your belief. You can find an answer that validates your belief. You are going to be more, it's more than likely that you're going to accept the one that validates your belief so that you can hold on to it. Because it is very difficult for us to reject our belief systems. I'm going to show you why. Now, this is the best way I could come up with this. Like, I was like, this is the best way I could do this. So, let's say that this is my belief system, okay? Oh, yeah, you're going to make good breakfast tomorrow. But let's say this is my belief system, all right? Your belief system is the core of who you are. It is at your center. Everything that you do, everything that you say emanates from your belief system, right? And that's not just all religion. That's just everything that you believe in, period. You're listening to this video right now because you believe that it's worth listening to. And if you stop listening to it, it's because you believe that it's not worth listening to. Everything that you do, everything that you say emanates from your personal belief system. Now, there are levels to your belief system. You have a soft level where these things can be changed. Your mind can be changed in these areas. But then you have that core part of your belief system that no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, this cannot be changed. For example, you have a lot of people out there who believe the creation story. If you believe the creation story, you have to believe that the world is relatively young. Some people say 6,000 years. Some people say no more than 20,000 years. Now, if a scientist tells you that the world is 4.5 billion years old, I think it's 4.54 billion years old, you cannot accept that science because it contradicts your belief system. Remember this, beliefs are where facts go to die. So it doesn't matter how much empirical evidence a scientist shows you that the world is actually 4.54 billion years old. Because your belief system says that it's 6,000 years old, you have to reject that science. Now, what you will hear people do when they reject science, they'll say, oh, science is always changing. You know, they have everything bad in the world to say about science. Meanwhile, they're eating some type of food and it's only possible by way of science. They're on the internet, which is only possible by way of some type of science, right? They go to the dentist, they go to the doctor, all these different, we depend on science until it runs contradictory to our belief system, okay? And we know God doggone well the earth ain't no God doggone 6,000 years old. But if you believe, if it's your belief system, then you have to maintain that. Nothing can come in the way of that. I don't care how rational it sounds. You will reject that in order to maintain your belief system. Why is that important? Because your mind is built to protect your belief system. Because your belief system is the core of who you are. Right? Your mind comes up with all kind of crazy theories, crazy apologies, crazy rationalizations to protect this belief system. Okay? That's what it has to do in order to protect you. Because if your belief system falls apart, you as an individual feel that you will fall apart. Everything that you know, everything that you ever held dear to falls apart. And also everything that you've ever done and said out of that belief system in retrospect seems crazy to you. Okay? All the things that you did for religious reasons, all the things that you did because you believe in this crazy theory, now that it falls apart, now it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Which is what I went through, okay? Now, this is where it gets deeper, okay? This is your belief system. Where did your belief system come from? 9 times out of 10, your belief system came from your parents, okay? So I'm going to use this. I know it's funny. Like I said, this is all I had to use. This is what came to mind. Here's a egg crate, okay? So, this is your belief system. Now, you know that religious beliefs are regional. For example, you can go to certain parts of the world, you know that part of the world is going to be Muslim. Go to a certain part of the world, you know that part of the world is going to be into Hinduism. You go to another part of the world, you know that part is going to be into Buddhism, so on, so forth. Okay? Wiccan, Voodoo, all these things, you know they're going to be regional. Okay, that's because they are passed on by their parents. Okay, or the families or the community or what have you. And there is a social consequence or a social penalty for not believing that. Like, for example, someone who doesn't believe God will probably never be the president. There is a social penalty for not believing what the masses believe. Okay? Now, this is your belief system. It came from your father, it came from your mother. Okay? Now, where did that belief system come from? It came from their father and their mother. So, your father got his belief system from his father, right? Now, where did he get his belief system from? It came from his father. Okay, do you see what's going on right now? Now, when I look back, and this is what was important to me, where did my belief system originally come from? The Church of God by faith, the believing in Jesus, and all these things, where did it originally come from? It came from when we first got off those boats, right? And I know we always hit this argument, and it was given to us by slave masters, forced on us, had everything taken away, and they gave us this religion. Now, I know a lot of people have to apologize for this. They have to say, well, just because a slave master gave us this religion does not mean that it's a bad religion. I got you. I got you, okay? My thing about this is if my ancestors were forced into this religion by the cruelest means possible, why is it something that I want to hold on to? Right? And go in your history and find me one form of enslavement where religion was not involved. It is a tool of control. Because if I have your mind, I got everything. I got your body, I got everything. Okay? And religion gets your mind. Okay? If I got your belief system, I got your mind under control, I have you under control. Okay, so you see, like in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm not saying these people were wrong for forgiving, right? Because I'm all about forgiveness. But if I can shoot you up, and I can shoot your people up, and all you're going to do in response is pray, then what am I afraid of? right? I'm not afraid of anything. So when we look at the purpose of religion, it is to keep people in control and to keep people docile. Now, with that, I'm not saying that religion doesn't have good uses. It does. Some people need religion. I always tell my wife, if you're using religion so that you don't come and blow up my house, then I need you to keep your religion. Okay? If that's keeping you from blowing up my house, I need you to keep your religion. Okay? I'm happy for you. And black people, especially, we've always been a very spiritual people. Okay? But going back to this, you have your belief system. But it came from somewhere else. Now, let's just take the whole slavery thing out of the equation. Let's just take that out of the equation. Let's not talk about that because, sometimes that's a little too deep for people. Okay? Let's just say that I got my belief system from my father. Now, keep in mind that everything you say, everything you do emanates from your belief system. So the question is, who am I? If everything that I'm doing and saying emanates from the belief system that I got from my father, that means that I'm really my father right now. So it was important to me, and this I'm telling y'all about a little piece about how I got here, is for me to be my own man, for me to have and develop my own belief system. And it's very important to me that there is nothing here for my son, right? I'm not talking about morals, I'm not talking about values, because while Christianity and these other religions borrow these things, they are not the author or the owner of morality. That's a whole different conversation within itself. All right, because such a concept is a man-made concept. Okay, I want my son to be a good person, a contributor to society, but I want him to be free to decide what he wishes to believe in, if anything at all. Right? Because what I would say is, once you start believing in things that you can't see, and once you start believing in other things that other people tell you to believe, you're already losing. You're already losing. Okay? I want my son to have a clean slate. So if he want to believe in Jesus, white Jesus, black Jesus, Muhammad, Gandhi, Buddha, I don't care, whoever wanted to, that was up to him. He made that decision for himself. It was not made by me passing that on into his lap. Okay? So that is one of the major reasons why I chose to move away from religion, because I want to be my own man. Now, a lot of times people will ask me the question, well, what do you believe in? My response is, why do I have to believe in anything? I believe in me. I believe in my abilities. I believe in godliness. But, when you get into belief, it's a slippery slope, right? Because I could literally tell you, and I didn't mean to go into this part, but I could tell you that I have an invisible friend sitting next to me, and I could believe in that invisible friend, right? And you would look at me like, Dream, you're crazy, okay? The onus is on me to prove that that person actually exists. All right. So let me take this and put this into the whole perspective with the Charleston shooting thing. Now, when I asked the question, where was the God that these people were praying to? They said that he was right there. Right. Now, this is the same as me saying that my invisible friend is right here. Okay. So I said, if he was right there, why didn't he do anything to help? I don't understand that. Well, we don't understand the way that God thinks. His mind is above ours. I mean, there's excuses. I went through in the last video. There's excuses on top of excuses, right? But if my invisible friend was here and I was going through something that was traumatic, that was terrible, that was horrible, and that friend did nothing for me, right? I got to question this friend's existence. I got to say to myself, like, either you exist and you just didn't care to do anything, or you just don't exist. Okay? We got to do that, because if we're not doing that, then we fall into this trap where Stephen Curry can say that God was with him in the locker room, and because they won, they can praise God for it. But then on the other hand, when his own people are praying in the church and they didn't even get so much as a whisper while they were talking to him that somebody was on the way to shoot them, oh, then we got all the excuses in the world. So maybe God has a priority problem. Okay, why do we have people starving in Uganda, but we got people here eating good, thanking God for a raise on their job? It just doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Now, there was a lot of reasons why and this wasn't something that happened overnight. This was a 10 to 15 year journey of constantly being nudged, constantly being nudged before I actually woke up. Now I know you may not like me saying I woke up, because that is implying that you're still asleep, right? But that's what you have when we look at this debate. You have someone who's asleep, somebody who's awake, and both people thinking it's the other way around. You thinking I'm asleep, right? And I'm thinking you sleep, right? But if you're a religious person, I've been where you are. Not to say that I'm in a higher place than you. I'm just in a different place than you. Okay? Now, I want to explain something. Let me see if thought I had my Bible here somewhere, because I do have a Bible. I just don't know where I put it. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I don't know where I put that thing. Oh, here it is, right here. Right under my eggs. Got my Bible. So let's look at something real quick. And I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to show you the believer something. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen while I do this. Okay? Now, this book is a fiction book. A fiction means that it is not real. Okay? Now, I had a group of first graders I was reading to, and we were going over a discussion on fiction and nonfiction. Okay? And there's such things as historical fiction and things like that. You can look this up. Now, before any of this, before you accept anything that I'm saying, the foundation has to fall apart. Okay? The foundation has to fall apart. You cannot argue with someone if you are looking at things from the perspective of reality. You cannot argue or debate somebody who is looking at things through the prism of belief. You can't do it. Belief is where facts go to die. Okay? So I'm going to go through this real quick. It's kind of hot in here. Are you still with me? Okay, let's do this. Now, how do we know that a book is fiction? Now, like I said, I had these first graders in front of me, and they could clearly tell that the books were fiction after I had read the first paragraph. Now, this book is called Clifford the Big Red Dog. I know everybody has heard of Clifford the Big Red Dog. What is fiction? Within this book, there are a lot of things that are real. There's grass, right? There's a sky, there's people, there's trucks and cars, all kind of things. We know these things exist in reality because we've seen them before. Now, in the first page, we see that it talks about this gigantic red dog. Now, I don't have a picture here. If you've never seen the dog, look it up, Clifford the Big Red Dog. This gigantic red dog. So when we got to that point and I read it to the kids, I said to them, is this book fiction or nonfiction? All the kids agreed this book is fiction. Why is this book fiction? Because we see something in the book that is not reality. It does not match reality. It is contradictory to reality. Because I don't know about you, but no, I have never in my life seen a gigantic red dog that can talk. I've never seen that before. Maybe you have. I haven't seen it. But that is how we can tell the difference between fiction and nonfiction. Okay? It's immediate. Not all the time, because sometimes you can read a novel that's fiction and it seems so real. But this is a dead giveaway that this is a fiction book. Okay? So now, when you open up a Bible, all right? I'm going to go through a little bit of this. When you go open up a Bible, in Genesis, the first chapter, there are some dead giveaways that this is a fiction book. See, when you open up this book, The Big Red Dog, or any other fiction book, the first page will tell you if the whole book is fiction. So you know what you're in store for. You know you're not going to get a real story when you're reading the book, A Never Ending Story, because the first page is telling you that it's flying dog, and you've never seen a flying dog. Okay, this book's fiction. Now, here we go. We got the Holy Bible. No disrespect, okay? Because this is a great piece of work. This is it's an exceptional piece of work, but it is a fiction book. I'm going to show you how. Now, you go into Genesis, and what do we have? We have man being created out of clay. We never seen that before. We have a talking snake. We never seen that before, right? We have a woman that's created out of a rib bone of another man. We never seen that before. These things we have never seen before. We have a God who creates The whole world, then the universe and everything is 6 days. When a seed, we plant a seed in the ground, it takes 6 days for it to crack out of the ground. So here are 4 things already that we've never seen before. And I know you're like, oh, but that's this. You know you got an excuse for it. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through it. Okay, so you see that these are things that if you look at in reality, you're like, nah, this never happened. Not only does the 6-day thing not make sense on the level of planting a seed, but it breaks every single law that this God set forth. Everything takes time to grow. So why would God break the rules? Why would he change the rules and do everything like that? But let's go into this. Now, I'm just going to give you one contradiction and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with it, with your mind. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you one contradiction. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with it, with your mind, and I'm going to tell you why you're doing it. Okay? Now, first chapter, 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Now, look outside. I'm looking outside myself. What makes a day and what makes a night? The sun, right? What makes the light? The sun, correct? I think we all agree with this, right? All right, let's move on. Now, when we get down to, let's get down to the first chapter and the 11th verse. It says, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So, on the first day, God created light and day, divided it, and called it, or light and darkness, divided it and called it day. That was the first day. On the third day, God created vegetation, and all this vegetation was growing and bearing fruit. Okay? So we know so far that in order for vegetation to grow, you got to have a sun. In order for the moon to have light, you got to have a sun. In order for there to be a light, or a day and a night, you got to have a sun. Or you can have a night without sun. But in order to divide the two and call it one day, you got to have a sun. Are we on the same page? Good. I know y'all like, oh man, well, he going to set me up. He set me on the trap. Hold on. Now, let's go to the fourth day. This is how the fourth day begins. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Now hold on now. Now listen to this part. This is the best part of this. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So just in case you ain't following me on this, just in case you ain't getting it yet. Basically, God made the sun and the moon on the 4th day. And yet, somehow, light existed on the 1st day and vegetation existed and grew without the sun. Now, this is not only a contradiction in terms of chronological order, being that the sun was created after or before. No, the sun was created after the light and vegetation. Not only is that a contradiction within itself, it's a contradiction to reality. Okay? It's a contradiction to reality because you know that the only light that we get comes from the sun. If you turn off the sun, we will be in complete darkness. Not only will we be in complete darkness, but there will be no gravitational pull on the earth, we will all just go up into the air. I mean, we would be dead automatically. All right. So this is what we know. It's contradictions in two places. Now, let me tell you what you're going to do with your mind. Because now, what we have already established is, if you see something that does not line up with reality in a book, and this is the first chapter, then you know that the rest of the whole book is going to be fiction. There may be some real things in it, just like in Clifford the Big Red Dog. There's real grass, there's real people, there's fire trucks and all that. There may be some real factual things in here. But this is a fictional book. Okay? But let me tell you what you're about to do with your mind. Let me tell you what you have to do with your mind. Okay? In order for you to protect this, okay, you have got to come up with some type of rationalization for that contradiction. You got to. You have to do it. You're doing it right now. You got to go on Google. You got to ask your pastor. You got to do something to reconcile for that contradiction. Because if you don't reconcile for that contradiction, then the first chapter falls apart. And if the first chapter can fall apart, that means the second chapter can fall apart, because now we getting into talking animals, right? And women being made out of rib bones. Okay? Now this falls apart and things start falling apart. It's like a domino effect. It starts falling apart and falling apart and falling apart and falling apart. Before you know, this whole thing is falling apart. Now, if the Bible falls apart, that means your religion falls apart. If your religion falls apart, again, that means your whole belief system begins to fall apart. And it's like, where the hell do I go from here? You have to reconcile. I guarantee you that's what you're doing right now. Because your mind is designed to protect itself. It's designed to protect your belief system from anything. No matter how rational it is. Right? You'll have 1,000,001 questions and 1,000,001 excuses for this situation, for this contradiction, for this. I mean, this is an outright contradiction. You have 1,000,000 excuses for it. You'll find it on Google. You can find some. Some people will say, well, God was light, right? God was light, so he could himself, he's the light of the world. Fair enough, okay? But if God is the light of the world, why did he have to turn himself on? And since when does vegetation form from a spiritual light? It doesn't happen. See, you can come up with 1,000,000 questions, right? But none of them are going to be rational. They'll only be rational enough to you to protect your belief system. That's just like people believing that God allows people to burn in hell for eternity. If that ain't the craziest thing that I was ever led to believe, right? I don't know what else could be. That an all-loving being would allow people to burn in hell for all of eternity just because they said that they didn't want to follow him for the, 20, 30 to 70 years that they were on the planet. You got to burn for all of eternity for a decision that you did or did not make while you were in your 20s and 30s. That is ridiculous. Okay? Now, I don't want to make this video too long because I don't know your attention span. A lot of people don't have a long attention span. You got to eat better. You got to exercise. You got to be willing to put that knowledge in. See, a lot of videos that I've done in the past, they've been very quick. And I haven't really gone into depth with a lot of things because I was always really coming up short or giving too little to people who listen to my videos, thinking that they would not have the retention, they would not have the ability to sit and watch a whole video. But I think that the people who are watching these videos, whether you are or whether you're not, I'm going to elevate you to that point. We're going to get that together. If you're not already there, I'm not going to sell you short anymore by giving you a 2-minute video on your relationships. And this is a relationship video because this is about the relationship that you have with yourself. Okay? You going around telling people that they're going to burn in hell for eternity for not believing what you believe. Stop it. Stop it. That's craziness. And I used to do that myself. And then once I got to the point where I realized that an all-loving God. Now let's talk about this. God says in your Bible, God is love. Okay? I'm very big on words. Okay, so let's talk about this. God is love. Not one of the characteristics of God is love. God is love. Just like I am brown. I am a man. That is what I am. Okay? I can't be a man and a woman. Well, we ain't gonna go into all that. I can't be brown and white. I am a brown male. Okay? My body is brown. I don't have a color. My body is brown. Okay? So I can't be anything else but that. So God is saying he is love in the Bible. Okay? Now, when we look at the definition of love in the Bible, I believe it's in Corinthians, it goes on to say the characteristics of love, which are the definitions of God, according to the Bible. Love is kind, love is patient, love forgives, love is not self-seeking, love holds no records of wrongs. I mean, all these beautiful things. How can you be all of those things, but at the same time allow someone to burn in hell for all of eternity? This don't add up. Unless God can be love and something else at the same time. Because love says, holds no records of wrong and forgives and kind and patient. How patient are you if the first time someone sins, you condemn all of humanity for all of eternity, right? You condemn all of humanity because of a sin that Eve did. That's not patience. And if someone doesn't believe what you believe, or someone doesn't want to follow you, right? You condemn them to hell for eternity. Or if some kids are just being kids and teasing the pastor or laughing at him, you send some bears to eat them up. That's not being patient. So see, we really gotta look at this thing and define what it is. And I heard someone, his name is Dr. Ali Muhammad. He said something real interesting. The reason why people got to get away from this stuff is because if you feel that your God acts in such a way, you will be sick enough to act in that way too. Okay? That's why we have a lot of Christians who don't act very Christian-like. Okay? They don't act, but in their mind they are. In their mind they're doing the right thing. They're being judgmental. They're condemning people to hell. I just had somebody today hit me up on Facebook and say, brother, since you don't believe what I believe, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. And I said, this brother, why would I want to follow a God who allows people to burn in hell for eternity? That's not a God that I want to follow at all. Why would I want to follow a God that I give my whole life to? I get on my knees and I pray to him and he don't even whisper in my ear that somebody's coming when I'm about to get shot up. That's a God that I don't need. Okay? So I say all that to say this, you guys. If y'all want to have the religious conversation, y'all want to talk about that, you got questions, leave them down there. We can talk about it. We can go through all of them. If you want to ask me why I don't believe in the God that you believe in, I mean, I can ask you the same question. Why don't you believe in all the other thousands of so-called gods out there? Why? Right? We can have that conversation. We can talk about that. But it's time for us to elevate ourselves beyond that. If you need religion, like I said, if you're going to blow up my apartment complex, I don't need you to ditch your religion. You need to keep it. If you're going to blow up my house, I don't need you to ditch your religion. You can keep it. If you're going to bash out my windows or harm me when I'm at the ATM station and Jesus is stopping you from doing it in your mind, then you keep that Jesus. But some of us can live good lives. You know, I'm a good person, I think. I mean, I ain't lying to nobody. I don't steal. I work. You know, I do these things. And I don't need serving nobody to do that, right? There are things that work in your best interest, and there are things that do not work in your best interest. Do the things that work in your best interest, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Well, we all have a short life here. We all our own devil and our own angel. We cause our own problems. And a lot of y'all cause your own problems and then pray, you know, for God to fix it. So my question is are you serving God? Does God lead your life, or is he your janitor? You know, which one is it? So, I mean, that's my whole thing. You know, my spiritual journey has been crazy. I think I may do some more videos about where I am now and where I see myself being in the future. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what I say. It's going to sound crazy to you unless you are ready to be a student. You see, you've been told your whole life. You've been told and told and told this is what it is. And I'm not going to tell you anything is anything. I'm not going to tell you to believe anything. What I would tell you is to research and to have an honest dialogue with yourself about what has been given to you and about what you believe and what it is doing for you in your life. Because some people need it. Some people need it. Some people need it. Me personally, I don't. I mean, like I said, if I'm going to be praying to you and you're going to let somebody come shoot me up, I didn't need you in the first place. I might as well have an invisible friend here. What's the point? My invisible friend could do just as much as you could do. And this is not disrespect anybody's God. You know, I'm not even that type of person. But what I'm saying is we got to start thinking about this stuff critically. We got to liberate ourselves from these religions. Religions that have been forced on us by people with great intentions. You know, your parents got the best intentions for you. But you got people out there beating their kids and referencing the Bible. Talking about spirit of rod, spoil the child. And this is what I'm talking about. Everything that you do emanates from your belief system. And you cause an injury to a defenseless and underdeveloped child because you're doing it in the name of a Bible that was written a couple thousand years ago by some goat herders or some scribes that got nothing to do with you. Not even in your culture. We got to get back to our own culture. We got to get back to our own spirituality. And we got to get back to responsibility for ourselves. And so that's my whole piece on religion. You got any questions? You got any remarks? You got any unfollows? Whatever it is, you know what to do in the comment box below. You love it, you hate it. I appreciate all of y'all for listening, especially the people who had the mental capacity to sit here throughout this short video. It's only 36 minutes, you know. But I appreciate you all. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna put the link to my Instagram below. I think I might have forgot to do it last time, but I'm gonna do it this time. And until next time, everybody, Hotep.